want to thank you so much for joining us and welcome you to Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart of Welcome Home Financial Partners. You can find them online, welcomehomefp.com. That is the website. If you forget, don't worry, it's right there in the podcast description. Click the link, it'll take you right there. My name is Chris Swan, and I'm pleased to be joined by Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Doing well. You know, summer has officially wound down. It's getting ready to be fall, football season, the joys and the woes of that may entail. And that got me thinking as far as a defensive-minded strategy when it comes to, well, football, of course. Obviously, defense wins championships is what they say. Same sort of thing as you get closer and closer to retirement. You know, it's not necessarily about those big gains, those 15, 20-yard plays. Certainly exciting, fun to watch. But, you know, if there were strategies where you just, if you got 4 yards every 4 yards, actually, if you got 4 yards every play, I mean, that's unbeatable, right? Like you don't have to worry about that. So just something I want them to think about as they get ready to get closer and closer to retirement. It shouldn't necessarily be about chasing those big gains. It should just be about consistency. And that actually ties into, a word that has been batted around a lot that no one is really super comfortable with. That is the word recession. Market volatility at the beginning of August crept back into the picture. Recession, that talk has happened. And MarketWatch interviewed 6 financial professionals and asked, if you're worried about a recession, what should you do? They came up with these things to consider. 1, build up cash reserves, pay off high interest debt, consider adjusting your risk by rebalancing, don't try to time the market, and stay calm. I feel like some of those people can maybe work on their own, and some of them are definitely easier said than done. What are your thoughts on this list, and is there anything that you would add to it?
I think it's a pretty good list in general of things to do. The thing that stands out to me is consider adjusting your risk by rebalancing the most. And why that stands out to me is I've met so many people over the course of doing what we do that want a second opinion because their current financial professional is so tied into we're going to do this and we're going to stay on this track and this is the only thing we can do. So there's always a need to, get some gains in your account. There's always a need to want to see, to your analogy, that 4-yard return or 5-yard return if we're talking football. But there are times where you've got to get defensive minded and it's okay to punt the ball. And a lot of advisors that I have met don't understand how to do that. They don't understand that there are times where it's not good to be aggressive, not chase the big returns. So I would say taking a hard look at rebalancing, but not just the rebalancing. Can the team you're working with help you achieve that rebalancing goal? Or are they so married to a certain idea that you're going to be stuck taking losses if a recession does happen?
What I would say also to a lot of people when I hear this story, you kind of have to be like a Boy Scout. You got to be prepared because life is going to throw different things at you. And this just makes perfect sense that you kind of, when things go down, you got to have some cash build up in case something did happen. What if you lost your job because of a recession? What are you going to do? How are you going to pay your bills? The other thing is, no matter what your age is, whether you're in retirement or whether you're 25 years old, you need to not have so much credit card debt with high interest rates, things like that. But like Scott said, rebalancing is a major thing that you need to think about, particularly as you get into retirement. But the biggest thing is get off the emotional roller coaster ride of the market, because the market's going to go up, the market's going to go down. If you got the time, but you have to stay calm, but you need somebody to kind of hold your hand. The number of people that we have to talk off the ledge sometimes when the market goes down it's quite funny some days when we have to do that. But that is a part of life as a financial advisor, as a fiduciary, to keep people calm and let them understand what is your goal, where are you trying to go to. That's what our role is to help you get that, take the risk off the table, and just continue on.
Yeah, Chris, you said it best, where some of these are easier said than done. Well, staying calm for a lot of people these days is very hard to do. But when Scott was talking about rebalancing, I mean, you need to take a look at rebalancing it probably on an annual basis, where we've met with so many folks that they've worked somewhere for 20, 30, maybe even 40 years, and they've never changed any of their investment strategies. So it's not just about recession. It's about, your time horizon. That's something that's often overlooked. But building up your cash reserves is huge. The rule of thumb of 3 months of expenses. COVID hit, people were out of work for 12 months at a time. So it's probably a little bit more wise to have more than 3 months. It just depends on spending habits, and that goes down to debt. You hear a lot of folks talk about never having debt, especially getting into retirement. Well, high interest debt's the issue, or uncontrollable debt's the issue. So if you've got a credit card, and it's probably not going to be feasible these days, but if you had a 3% or a 5%, it's a little bit of a different story. But you've got to make sure that your spending habits are under control, which leads into that debt.
One of the things that we always talk to people about is, why are you in debt? I mean, is it because you had a medical issue? Then that's something different. But if it's because you need those extra $1,000 pair of shoes that you've got 10 of them in your closet, it's probably not a good thing to do. But every client's a little bit different. Or there again, if you have a recession, you might be okay. But what about your kids? What if they are having to come back home to live with you? Is that part of your plan? Those are issues that life does throw curveballs at you, and that may be one of them that you didn't plan for.
And we see a lot of folks too trying to time the market. I don't know if it's greed or if it's they think they're better than the market. They're watching these reports, or they become their own champion day trader. But if you're getting close to retirement and you're trying to hold on, a lot of people have the misconception of, okay, well, this stock that I own was at $100. Now it's down to 50, but it's going to get back to 100. It's never a guarantee. Mm-hmm. So if you're waiting for that number or whatever call or earnings to come out, there's so many things that could go wrong. And if you're close to retirement, if we have a recession, what's that going to do for your retirement dreams, right? Everybody works in hopes that they can retire the way that they want to and do the things that they wanted to do because they were pounding the pavement. They were working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And now, hey, it's my time. It's my time to do things. So if you don't have the money to do that, then what's your retirement really going to look like for you?
But why do you have to wait till you're retired before you enjoy some of your fruits of your labor? I mean, that's the other thing is, what if you don't make it to retirement, but you got $1 million in your 401k and you're 60-some years old? I mean, why don't you take some of that and maybe enjoy your life a little bit instead of letting your kids enjoy it all?
Kind of a phased retirement that I've heard. People kind of just testing it out, maybe taking a little bit of, not necessarily working 40 hours a week, but maybe transitioning into a partial as you get closer and closer. Not to bring it back to football. I'm actually definitely going to do that.
Let's do it, Chris.
Yeah. There's a difference between college football and professional football, and then there's subtle rules, kickoff rules and how overtime works. That's bitten people before. The rules in the working world and the rules in retirement are vastly different, especially when it comes to things like taxation and what have you. And so knowing those and understanding those can be the difference between winning and losing. And that is where you guys come into play, the team at Welcome Home Financial Partners. As far as everyone's retirement is going to be different and everyone's plan is going to look a little different, these things that people came up with the list to allay the fears of a recession. Do you think this is pretty universal across the board? This is something that everyone should really take a look at?
Yeah, I think everybody should take a look at it, but it depends on what stage of life you're in, right? So if you're just now entering the workforce, it's going to be a little bit different than somebody who's 50 plus years old, getting closer to retirement. But yeah, there's always the fear of the stock market. Everybody kind of gets nervous, especially when they know they're getting close. Excuse me, let's bring it back to football. Once we're in the red zone, right? So the retirement red zone, we want to make sure that we won't have as much in the stock market. We want to control our risk to a point to where we know that, hey, once we punch it in for that touchdown, we don't have to worry about losing.
And I think, Chris, you brought up a good point. I mean, I see all of these things, and it brings me back to, why we do our retirement roadmap for our clients, why we have that plan is to be holistic. And you brought up taxation. You want to know who's recession proof? The IRS is recession proof. They're getting their dollar whether you're making money or not. So if you have the plan and you know what things look like, it's going to help you stay calm. It's going to let you know that you don't need to time the market. It will help us guide you in rebalancing. Just having a plan in general, whether you're approaching retirement or in retirement, is going to help you achieve a lot of these things and make your retirement, nothing's recession proof besides the IRS, but really make your retirement or your strive towards retirement recession resistant. How's that?
I would also say, Chris, that most people need to understand that, if you listen to any of the market pundits on the TV shows, things of that nature, they always say, listen to one, we're about ready to have a major market correction. And the next day, somebody's going to say, oh, no, it's going to go up for the next 250 years. So you just have to have a plan, like Scott said, a plan that allows you to fix any of the problems that might occur, because it's not going to be perfect. I mean, even when we do our roadmap, I had a client come in yesterday and we went through a roadmap for him. And then he emailed me back and said, oh, I forgot about doing this and I forgot about doing this. Can you redo that for me? Just to, he forgot about the Medicare cost and things of that nature.
Okay.
So it's not written in stone, no matter what kind of plan you have or whether it's a fiduciary plan doing it for you. It's going to change over your lifespan. Just be aware of that.
Yeah, and every good football team's got great coaching staff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you have to have when you're going into retirement. You got to have a coaching staff or a team behind you and not just go at it alone. There's a lot of folks that have done everything, their investments all by themselves. And I met with a guy a few weeks ago and he said, I've handled it all on my own. I'm now retired for 2 years. I'm getting tired of doing this. I just want to kind of hand the keys over. So it's all about the different phases of life. There's going to be certain things that you can do while you're capable. And then sometimes it's time to lean on your coaching staff.
And that's what you get, with the team at Welcome Home Financial Partners. You get that team, that staff that's going to help you with whatever may come down the line, knowing that there will be things that are certainly going to happen. There is going to be probably tax changes down the line. There is going to be market volatility. That's just consistent. Inflation is always going to be a factor. So navigating through those things over the course of 20, 30 years, as much as we don't want to see it, we'll probably see a recession. So you want to make sure you've got a plan that can adjust with that. It is, again, talking about winning coaches, the difference between having a winning team and a losing team. Well, there's actually a lot of variables, but especially not trying the same thing over and over again without allowing room for any type of changes to be made. You want a plan that is going to be dynamic, where if the market, does throw major curveballs, you've got something in play. If taxation changes down the line, you've got something in play. You can reevaluate that. That is where having these reviews, consistent reviews with a team, with your financial professionals, can really come into play. So my challenge to you is, if you are worried about a looming recession, if your current financial professional, or perhaps if you don't have a financial professional, but if they are absent or hard to get in touch with, why not reach out to the guys at Welcome Home Financial Partners? It's real easy to do. That's welcomehomefp.com. We made it easy for you. Just click the link in the podcast description. It'll take you right there. Start allaying these fears. The number one thing there, I think, of all those is staying calm. It can be easier said than done. But if you've got a plan in place, it can, I think, help tremendously. Again, welcomehomefp.com. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart. Hope you have a great day ahead of you. Gentlemen, appreciate the time. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the final word.
Thank you, Chris, as always. So, yeah, if you're sitting at home listening and, some of these things are plucking a nerve, or you are concerned about taxation changing in the future, or a recession looming, or anything, we'd love the opportunity to bring you into the office and start your retirement roadmap. So once again, we want to thank everybody for listening, and take care.
All content is for information purposes only. It is not intended to provide any tax or legal advice or provide the basis for any financial decision, nor is it intended to be a projection of current or future performance or indication or future results. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Welcome Home Financial Partners and Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC. The information contained in this material has been derived from sources believed to be reliable, but is not guaranteed as to accuracy and completeness, and does not purport to a complete analysis of the materials discussed. All information and ideas should be discussed in detail with your individual advisor prior to the implementation. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstance. Advisor services are offered by Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Virginia. Being registered as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Insurance products and services are offered through WPI Holding, Virginia Insurance License Number 138509, an affiliated company. The information contained herein should in no way be construed or interpreted as a solicitation to sell or offer to sell advisory services to any residents of any state other than the state of Virginia or where otherwise legally permitted. Welcome Home Wealth Advisors LLC and Welcome Home Financial Partners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency.